What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, wanted to talk about this again because I know some people are talking about it on social media, and it could very well just be another topic to discuss. And we talked a lot, Cody, before the draft about the idea of the Indianapolis Colts trading for Trey Hendrickson. And of course, that we knew all along that was a pipe dream. And, there's a lot of factors that go into that. And of course, Trey Hendrickson has not been traded yet. And there were reports that the Bengals were making headway with Trey Hendrickson, and then he didn't get traded at the draft. And now the Indianapolis Colts drafted a defensive end in the second round in JT Tuimoloau. So it felt like up until a few hours ago that, that cage was, closed and there's nothing else to report on it. But Trey Hendrickson actually came to the Bengals voluntary OTA practice today to speak with the media about his contract situation because he was asked about it again recently and stated that there hasn't been further talks and there hasn't really been any kind of significant headway in getting him towards a new contract. So there's been a lot of issues with the communication, and Jordan Schultz even reporting earlier that Hendrickson had received a text from head coach Zach Taylor 30 days before mandatory minicamp warning him he'd be fined if he didn't show up, something that frustrated him, especially given the poor communication from the team. And Hendrickson has already made it clear he will not play under the final year of his current contract. So Hendrickson is staying firm here, Cody, that he is not going to play as a Bengal if he doesn't get a new contract. And it sure sounds like it. And from the sounds of everything that he has said, it does not seem like either side is really budging in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, what's your reaction to it? And then secondly, do you think that there is even still a remote chance that a team like the Indianapolis Colts could swoop in and figure this out here as we move on to this offseason?
Yeah, so I was just looking at a few more comments. I mean, it's getting worse than just beyond it. Like, it's getting personal now. Like, Trey Hendrickson said, if I sat here with 4 sacks, they'd want a pay cut and some money back. I'm not going to apologize for the rates being paid to defensive ends in the National Football League. And this is according to Ari Miroff. He says, Hendrickson admitted things have gotten personal between him and the organization. So, Derek, it's not just like a contract thing anymore. It's becoming like he's becoming insulted by what the Bengals are doing. Like, it's becoming that bad of a situation here where it's like the Bengals might not have a choice here soon, Derek. Like, they're either going to have to trade him or just, sit on that contract and basically just not pay the guy and just have him sit out the entire year, right? And that might lead to the Bengals not getting anything back from him. He's demanding a release, and he's like, let me go. Like, if that's going to be the situation, I'll go somewhere where they actually will pay me. Like, would that be a situation there? So, yeah, it just seems like both sides are very much locked into what they believe is right. And, from what he had said, Derek, it's like the Bengals promised one thing and they're doing a complete opposite thing. Kind of what it seems like here. So, yeah, from that situation, I mean, my gosh, dude, the dude just led the NFL in sacks. You think you would pony up to pay him? I know he's a little bit older, but come on, man. Like, that's ridiculous. And, pay the best defensive edge guy in the NFL last year. Why wouldn't you? But it is the Bengals, and they're obviously known for being notoriously cheap in certain situations. Yep. So, yeah, it's very – if you're a Bengals fan, you just have to be so frustrated at just how this whole situation has played itself out because you thought, okay, we're going to get our core on the offense figured out, and then we're going to have enough to be able to work something out long-term with Trey Hendrickson, and it's just not been the case at all. Now, moving on to the Indianapolis Colts, this is where it's so tricky for the Colts and so many other teams, Derek, is like there's so many factors. First off, the Bengals don't want to trade him, which is going to be tough because They don't want to trade him and they don't want to pay him. So like, what the heck do they want to do?
It's at a point where like, which side of the Bengals comes out there? Do
and I want to say they're going to go one way or another. Yeah, it's the Bengals though. So I'm like, I want to say they'll go one side or another, but it's the Bengals. They might just sit on it. It's like ridiculous. So it's just so frustrating to just see him kind of almost be held hostage by the Bengals. It's like, okay, if you want me around, then pay me for what I'm due and what you promised me you're going to pay me. It's just kind of ridiculous. But that's what makes it tricky is like the Bengals haven't made up their mind. Like they made up their mind on certain situations, but they haven't made up their mind to where it makes sense move forward right now. That's just kind of what the impression I get. So that's a tricky thing. And then, if they were open to trading him, their asking price is ridiculous, right? Like a first round pick, I hate to break it to you, you're not getting it at this point. Like that's just not a reality for a guy that as good as he was last year, Derek. The reality is he's over 30. You've made the situation worse. He wants out. I think at this point, I don't know if he said it publicly, but it's certainly seeming like he's getting fed up with this organization. So yeah, it makes it tricky because the Bengals are just playing hardball and nothing's really being done at all. And so for the Colts and any other team, I mean, I think if that stuff works itself out somehow, then yes, I do think there's a possibility. But the Bengals are being the Bengals right now, and they're being very, very hard-headed in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's really tricky to say if the Colts have a chance because the Bengals are so darn unpredictable. I don't know at this point.
And, it's one of those situations. I know even I still would love to have Trey Hendrickson here. Two things come into play here. First things first, with the trade, you would probably have to give up one of your defensive ends in order to do so. You're not going to give up on Laiatu Latu right now because you just drafted him and he's going to be a pass rush specialist. And you obviously got JT Tuimoloau in the draft, so obviously you're not going to get rid of him. Likely option there is Kwity Paye on the other side, and that could very well be something. But, I mean, like I said, is that a move that Ballard would be comfortable making? I don't believe so, but it is what it is. And I think on top of it is, you have this situation where you have Ebukam as well. I mean, it's not like the number for Ebukam is that insane. If you wanted to, make a little bit more of his contract more bonus based in this year, I mean, you still could do that. The trade being one thing, you have to be able to work with the Cincinnati Bengals, who, like you said, they're being stingy. They don't want to trade him, but obviously they're not backing off on their price either for Trey Hendrickson. And then the second part is you actually have to pay Trey Hendrickson a contract that he's actually going to be happy with, right? So that's the thing is, would Ballard be able to even put a number on the table that he's comfortable with and that Trey Hendrickson would be comfortable with? So there's a multitude of different problems here. Like I said, probably the only reason that this is still a topic right now is, like we said before, the Bengals are just making this looking really bad in the eyes of Trey Hendrickson and the people that he's talking to. But who knows how far away they really are? Who knows all these other things? But I mean, it will definitely be something to continue to monitor as we get closer to training camp. Because when does mandatory mini camp start, Cody?
Oh, mandatory mini camp. Let me
because
check the date
that's
on that.
what Zach Taylor said that he would get fined if he doesn't show up to those.
So for the Cincinnati Bengals, their mandatory minicamp starts on June 10th. So June 10th through the 12th is when it starts. So,
okay, so they got a little bit of time. They got about a month before Trey Hendrickson starts getting fined for not practicing. Again, I doubt that Trey Hendrickson will care much about the fines of the minicamp. Like you said, since it's only a couple days, and I don't know what the fees are for it, but I'm pretty sure he'd be able to cover it But as far as like when you talk about training camp, though, that's where things are going to be very interesting. We'll see if either side budges. We'll see if anyone's even capable of convincing the Cincinnati Bengals to just move on. But, there will continue to be more of this. We'll keep an eye out for it, guys. But let us know your thoughts on this. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.